morning. Yes. And what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hail, 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 and good morning, everybody. I am your roast host with the most, Subway. And of course, with me, as always, my co-host, the man who keeps everything on the straight and narrow, the man from the great north, Mr. Sim.
Well, yeah, welcome and good morning, CG.
And today we actually have a special guest, Mr. Anthony Figaro.
My tag team partner.
Good morning. Absolutely. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm actually happy to have you on. And it's not just because of your cool accent.
What accent?
What are you talking about?
I'm sure Sim says the same thing all the time. We love having someone who's got what accent?
I suppose we sound French or Puerto Rican or something.
That's a great combination there. I like that. He's a French Puerto Rican, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I actually don't know much about yourself or your project actually, because other than that Indie Vault stream you did with like Sam and Eric Hodgson and all, I haven't actually seen you on many streams.
I know, one of those elusive characters, man.
He's been on on other shows with me.
Oh, has he?
Was it the Woke Up show, or you came on?
I know I've been. I was on. I've been on Mandy's show. I've been on Shay Zombie, Red Valkyrie. I did that back before I was officially Comicsgate. I was on Billy and Niles show. I was on Antonio's show once. I went on with the Indie Devil, Literature Devil. Been with him. Yeah, I just spread it out, Spread out. I don't want, spread out a little bit.
How I haven't seen these streams then. Oh well, I haven't been watching streams as much as probably.
It's hard to watch. It's hard, when you're in production and you're trying to get things done. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with streams, man. It is.
Better late than never.
There you go, baby. Let me put it like this: of all the other shows I've done and everything I've done, right? I've been building up to this. I've been building up to making it to the big show. So finally, now, you know what I'm saying? I've arrived here. Everybody knows they're gonna go. Oh, there's he. Well, we know he's legit now. He's been on there. He's official now, bro. There's no denying it now.
Yep. Now that you've been on this stream, everybody's going to be knocking down your door.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We weren't sure before, but now we know for sure.
Now, do you understand why we won that debate?
Exactly.
Oh, so for those out there in the chat who are wondering what debate they're talking about, on the Indie Vault YouTube channel, Anthony and Sim and I think it was Eric Hodgson, was representing Comicsgate, and then there were three other gentlemen who were representing the other side, and there was a nice civil discussion between the two sides. And I personally think you gentlemen did a fine job representing us.
Dude, we got them agreeing with us at the end, cheering for us. It was freaking amazing.
I would speak more about it, but my humility prevents me from going in. I'm very proud of my humility, so I don't want to ruin that.
It was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
The best part was like they were coming like, yeah, but it's this, and all we said was like, no, dude, we're here because we believe in this, so, and that's all. And you're welcome to do your books how you want them, when you want them. And at the end, they were all like, yes. Every time we were saying something, yes. Like, then we're done. Conversation is done.
That's it. I find what you're dealing with today mostly is I was in I don't know if I said just a, wouldn't even say it was a debate, just a discussion. And I'm looking at something, and and you're hearing the same bullshit. Oh, Comicsgate, this, that, right, alt right, blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, yo, man, like 2017 called. They want their opinions back. This is 2020, bro. Like you so far behind the ball on this, bro. Comicsgate, Ethan Van Sciver just made $1 million comic book. You got guys like Dan Fraga, Art Thieber. You got Rockefeller coming. I mean, like, this isn't 2017, bro.
You even
This is
have
a
Train
whole new,
Kanyega that
what I'm
just
saying.
announced that he wants to bring Creed to Indiegogo now.
That's what I mean. You have a whole new. It's done. That war is over. You know what I mean? Comicsgate came out the other side. It's proved itself.
Yep.
That's no longer the issue anymore. This is a real movement. This is a real force. This is a real thing that's going forward. That you can either be a part of it or not. But these bullshit attack, all this stuff. What you're dealing with now is re-educating the public. That's really what
Yes.
all three of us were talking about it. But it's just basically re-educating people, because the idea of what they think Comicsgate is and what it's about is completely diluted and wrong. It just is, you know what I mean? And so it's just going through, and that's what me and Sim and Eric did in that show, was just to say, no, all the stuff you think you know about Comicsgate is wrong. And we're here to just show you that you're wrong. And not in an ugly way, just in a way that's like, hey, here it is,
And one of the best part was to when they go like, "Why are you guys CG?" And we all came out with the same type of answer:
Yeah.
anti-PC, anti-censor, and be able to do the books you want, how you want them, and that's it. How can you argue with that?
You can't.
This is why we became CG, because people would not let us do what we wanted as books. You know what? That's pretty much it. We believe in. We want the mainstream was doing shit. The indie field got infected too. Even in Image Kickstarter, you couldn't do the books you wanted. You could get trouble. So it's freedom. Freedom.
Right.
That's it.
No,
I'm
I
gonna do my
agree.
books.
I always, and I think that's the deal, is that at the end of the day, it's this. You can call it whatever you want, but it's this ideology that lends itself to censorship and authoritarianism. I mean, it just
Mm-hmm.
lends itself to that. And I think in a creative field where everybody's like, well, no, we're trying to be creative, and we're trying to tell stories that are built on craft, that are built on merit, that are built on this standard to which, yeah, it's like, well, this is what you aspire to. You aspire to this, and then to have this ideology come in and say, well, no, that's all oppressive, and it's all this, and it's all that. And you sit there and you realize most of the stuff is all gaslight and bullshit. But like at some point, you get enough individuals who independently come up with the same thought, and so all of a sudden, those individuals get together and share that thought and go, well, no, it's not this, it's not that. This is the problem. And then you have this movement called Comicsgate, because you have enough independent creators that come together and they're just like, enough of this. This is bullshit. It's not this, it's not that. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to stop talking and we're going to start creating, and we're going to make. And let's see what the market says. Let's put it out there and see if your ideology and your theory on what makes a good story, what makes a good character, what makes this, let's put that up against this over here. And we're going to make our stories this way, what we think is a good character, what we think is this. And let's put it to the test. Let's put it out to the public and see what happens. And I think
And
that's the argument. Is like, as far as I'm concerned, it sure seems like the public is open.
Yeah,
I mean,
the way I'm seeing it right now, we're winning. CG is becoming something else. Like, it's growing, and people need to know that anything that any movement, anything that ever started, will change. Like, it will get better. Some things will happen, so don't get discouraged. But it is growing, and the fight the fight is pretty much ours on that one. It's been proven. People want to be able to choose what they want. If they don't like it, they don't buy it. If they like it, well, they will. It's
100%. I think the original guys. I've heard this concept. I don't know where, but I just heard. I like it though. It's this. What do they call it? 3G. What is it? 3G CG. third generation Comicsgate,
Oh,
and
the
it's
next
like,
generation, the next
yeah,
CG, yeah,
right,
CG,
right,
the next CG gen. That's what we used to say. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so you have this generation that's coming in. That's you know, this is was the point. The point was is that the original shock troops who came through uh, fought the battles and kind of cleared the way, so creators could feel safe to come over and create what they want. I mean, that's what has been shifting, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
the idea that, you know, because now the arrows and the slings and the insults and whatnot, they don't hold any water anymore because the product has proven itself. And so now you're having people who are like, yeah, I would like to be a part of this because this looks like it's trying to build something. Whereas the other problem with the other ideology is that it is built to tear things down. But what it offers in its place has no value. No one wants it, and everyone's like, "Well, that's really not interesting. I don't want to. I don't want to engage in a you know a way of creating comics that essentially is this censor um, fear based thing where you have to be scared to make things, scared to say things, scared that you're going to offend people and all this kind of stuff like this. Nobody wants to live like that.
Yeah, like the guys that were doing comics in the beginning, like Kirby, Stanley, and all those guys. All right, when they were doing comics, they weren't thinking of agenda, propaganda. They weren't thinking about this. They were thinking about hope people like this shit, so I can keep doing this shit and make money.
Yeah, I got rent to pay.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. It's being hungry. It's being you want to please your fans. You want the fans, like, you don't want to give them what they want exactly, but you want them to like what you're offering though. Because if you try and always like fit, it's because when you're trying to just please, you end up with the blockbuster recipe, which everybody's just trying to reproduce something that they, oh, let's do the cookie cut story, the cookie cut thing, like that will be in the safe zone. So that's what happened to the movies. That's what happened to video games. That's what happened to comic books. They get so scared of being experimental. Dude, we got Star Wars, all those fucking great movies, not because they were blockbuster. No, they were experimentals. They thought that that was going to be a fucking waste of money. So they still freaking went through it. And they did it. The same thing with Kevin Smith when he did his Clerks and stuff like that. It's stuff that people didn't believe in. And when they came out, it was a big freaking hit. People that never understood what the hell happened.
Yeah, it seems like most of your great, I guess you'd say, works of art was brought about, under duress, so to speak, with like a low budget or during a bad period of time, maybe in the person's life, or just something like that, where it's like you're you're more hungry for it, or you're putting out all this energy into it, or it's something really unique and interesting.
No,
Usually,
I agree with that.
mm-hmm.
I think that's why. Go ahead, so.
I was just gonna say, like, it's something that the artist has to be involved in the project for the project to be also as love, you would say. I don't know if that make kind of sense. Like,
Yeah, no, that's what you're talking about. Soul. You're
yeah,
talking about heart.
like people are looking at what I worked on Blood Hunt. I love Blood Hunt. I love that, but when people see what I'm working on, not the Merc, people just look at it and go, Sim, you just look at it. It looks like you're having fun. Like you're, like, I am. It's weird. So people can read that through the creator's art. So
No,
imagine, and when you're working against your like when you're going to a job and you're walking backwards into the job because you really don't want to do it, right? You're not gonna give it's not your best. Your passion is not gonna come out of it. So when you're giving your all and all you want people, you're thinking and hope that people are gonna love it. This is where you get your drive. This is where it shows in what you're doing.
my theory on that is to mix. You two guys are saying similar things. Is that as much duress as Skinner was talking about that COVID has put on people and whatnot, and on the industry itself, it has. Unfortunately, this is the type of stuff that happens. I believe this is my theory in nature is that when things get unhealthy or they get too wild, they get too overgrown, it burns itself down. That's what, you have these forest fires and stuff like this. But what it does is it burns off all the excess, and what you're left with is the core. And something like COVID comes along, and what it does is it burns off a lot of the fat. But what it leaves is, and to Sim's point, it leaves the people who are doing it because they love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether they get paid, I mean, getting paid is nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to shoot down getting paid, but there's a part of me that really gets high when I do this stuff. That I feel free when I'm doing this stuff. And so whether I'm getting paid or not, in some form or another, I'll be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It is such a, we say lanyap here in New Orleans. It means extra, right? It's such a lanyap to be able to get paid and make any type of money off of this, right? Because for some of us, it's a talent, it's a gift, right? It's something that's inside of us. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, inherently, this is what the other ideology or the other, ideas fight against is that at the core of everything, man, when you put soul and you put heart and you put this stuff into it, people respond to that. Doesn't really matter the subject matter. This is the thing. When you allow the subject matter to overpower the actual story, right? What are you trying to say? What do you believe in? What is this you're trying to ultimately get out, man? And I'm all high and shit because I listened to Dave Filoni break down the prequels. Did you guys hear his breakdown of the prequels? Dude is fucking bright. It's beautiful. I'm seriously, like, after you watch this, you'll just be like, you're like, if you're into Star Wars, you'll turn away because a tear will roll down your eye and shit. But he goes into this whole thing, and he goes into the prequels, and what he basically says, and I'm gonna butcher this, but this is his basic idea. He says that Qui-Gon represents this father figure to Anakin. He wants to train Anakin because he believes in Anakin, because he believes in these things, right? He's not the Jedi Council. He's about feeling, right? And so when he dies, when Maul kills him, enters Anakin's path. And then he's raised by essentially his brother, who essentially, only does it because he's, wants to do what Qui-Gon wants him to do, and in these things like this. And so you see this descent into this whole thing and the descent of the character. And then you have this Luke character who then comes up and then he ties it all together. There's all stuff in the middle that I'm just missing, but he ties it at the end to Luke when he forces Anakin to be the father he never had, to stand up in that moment to the Emperor to save his son. And in that moment, he redeems himself. And so he's like, Star Wars at its core is about family and hope. And it's like, and there's just something that resonates with people. Like, it doesn't matter. It's great. You got X-Wings and lightsabers and robots and all, and that stuff's great. And that stuff is visually pleasing. But there's something deeper that people want to believe in hope. They want to believe in it. And it's like, that's what Sim's talking about. And to Kino's point, it's like, and sometimes you need this duress to burn off all this noise to get back to the heart of the matter.
And one of the worst things that they said when they were doing the new movies was the fact that they wanted to take it away from they take Star Wars away from the Skywalker, the family. They said it, and just proving the point.
No, you hit on it. It's like that's what you see in those three movies. What you see is right. What Filoni says is you see the X-Wings and you see the lightsabers and you see the droids and you see all this stuff. It's all Star Wars, but it ain't got no heart.
No.
It has no hope. It has no it has no real heart to it. It's missing that because, like Sim said, they're trying to reproduce something in a formula style without the main ingredient. Without the main ingredient, you're trying to do this, and it's like you and this is why. This is why they were ultimately rejected by the people who supported it all this time.
So then it becomes clear that this is people that never understood the original product, right? In a way that didn't understand it. They just thought, oh, people like it because there's fighting, there's spaceship and lightsabers. You don't need to do much. No, that's not what was so amazing about it. That was the candy. That was like the cherry on top.
Right.
It's like, you like the movie before the first lightsaber comes in.
No, it's very much like that. Yeah, I mean, it's very much like that. You know what I mean? Where it's just this bullshit thing where it's like, and look, and I'll argue with anybody on this one. When you have people like Ryan Johnson, and I doubt Abrams as well. I think Abrams maybe more so, but I doubt both of them. But I know Ryan Johnson. I was a fan of Star Wars. Bullshit. Bullshit, bro. You are definitely
No.
you ain't never been no fan of Star Wars because the way you handled it's like this. It's like, no, man. You know what I mean? It's like, you know who liked that movie? People who weren't fans of Star Wars. That's who liked the movie. People who weren't fans of the original, they're just regular people. Because again, as a standalone, if you don't know shit about Skywalker, if you don't know shit about any of this stuff, the movie stands. But if you know all this context, it's like, bro, like, you totally fucking, like, this isn't even close, bro.
This ain't Luke.
It's Jake. It's Jake from State Farm.
It makes no. It made no sense. Like the first one was, you're like, okay, it's the same recipe that they apply to the, it's like a rehash of the old one. Like you're like, okay, it's a good setup, but then after that, they just prove everything that Ryan Johnson didn't know nothing about Star Wars, never understood, or not even enjoyed them. It's like all those people that said they're comic book fans and all they've ever seen is watch a movie.
It came off like I watched the trailer for the first one, Force Awakens. I was like, this is just they're just rehashing previous movies, like scenes and stuff. But it came off as like somebody who just kind of like a normie who watched like Star Wars once and got like the idea. Oh, there's lightsabers and flashy things, and but they didn't really understand what it was about.
One a while back, I made an example as in, how hockey is in Canada, and certain sports for you too, right? In the beginning, people that were really like fan of hockey, right? They would watch hockey, watch the game, follow this, know all the freaking players, right? But they will also play hockey. It was a hobby for them too. They like to play the game. With the time going, it became that it was a social it was a social thing. To be socially accepted, you needed to like hockey in a way. A lot of people got into a point where, oh yeah. I know hockey, yeah, but never really watched it because it was like you weren't in if you didn't watch hockey. And then it grew into a where there you have a whole bunch of people that said they're a fan of hockey, never fucking played hockey in their fucking life, and they'll put out stats, they'll talk about stats and this and that and this and that, and you're like, yeah, but you're just killing everything. It's like right now I'm watching the movie and pulling the stats of the cells and this and that. Look, this is what was this is the recipe, this is what people are saying that worked in the first movie. Let's reproduce exactly the same thing. Not gonna work.
Yeah, it's missing its soul, so to speak.
Yeah, there's no soul, there's no heart, there's no
I mean,
like Anthony said before, it's hope, but it's also like before you used to watch a movie and sometimes it would give you would look up to some characters. Like the characters would have flaws that you would not like to have, but there was always something that you would go like, yeah, I need to work on myself, or this is something I'd like to become more like. Something you would aspire to become. It would inspire you. That's it, period. A movie would inspire you to either better yourself, understand something, or do something. That doesn't happen anymore. It's one of the reasons why when we were discussing, I think it was yesterday, on the midday repartee, the fact that they're trying to kill the hero. Okay, the person that will stand by himself, like the person that will, the leader, the person that will stand and fight. Like the idea that one person can be a change, that one person can bring a change, that you need to express yourself. No, everything they're telling you now is now you need to be accepted by a certain group, so that group, you're part of that group. Look at Flash, look at Arrow. Like right now, it's like they're oh, okay, I got powers, and here's my crew, and they're gonna tell me what to do because I'm a stupid idiot. That's pretty much what's happening right now. If you look at why and the reason why I don't like the Nolan Batman, because what you get there is a spoiled fucking brat that's pissed, rich, and beats off people. That's not Batman. Batman is a detective. Batman's a fucking dude. It's I,
Oh, man.
he's
You,
just
ro-
he's just a big brute in there.
you roboted right when you were saying beats up people, and it didn't sound like you said beats up.
It's like, I got you.
Like,
Come
whoa,
here.
Batman.
Answer to me.
That Batman is just a spoiled brat that's pissed and rage and decides to go beat up people, and he's dumb about it as well. This is not Batman. And then you're like, okay, the first one is the beginning. Okay, maybe we'll get to the second one, and we'll get a bit more of the detective, or the strong character or something. No. He's still just like, I just want to kill. I just want to beat people. Like somebody said, like he's a mass murderer in those movies.
It's I would say Batman's tough, man. Um, because I watch, because I'm mixed on the Nolan movies. Like when I first saw him, I was good with him. I didn't like the third one, and then when I watched him and I listened to some breakdowns of him and stuff, and you put yourself in a certain mindset of understanding what the story's about at the core of it, right? And so you're like, it's set in a hyper realistic world and all this kind of shit like this, and you understand the story that it tells, and you understand that it's a well told story.
Yep.
Now, when you get into Batman and stuff like this, it skews it because you're dealing. It is an interesting subject matter because then you have Snyder doing it in Batman versus Superman, and it's like, and again, there's a failure because and it's real obvious once you put him into that environment that if you're not developing his intelligence, if you're not developing that aspect of him, and understand that the physicality is just an instrument, but that what he really is a mind, that you see that at the end of the movie when it's like Superman, Wonder Woman, Doomsday, and it's like there's Batman. It's like, oh shit, you realize your strength and all this bruteness and all, you can't do shit in this situation.
No, he's brains and
Like jump it right, exactly. But if you don't, and which I loved about Justice League Unlimited, it was like that's the stereo, that is the archetypal Batman. It's
he was a tactical
everyone was
genius.
afraid of him because they knew he was already thinking about everything that they were thinking about doing and already figured out how to immobilize all these people.
Yeah.
And that's what made them scared of Batman, because they were like, yo, bro, like that dude's playing 60 chess. That dude's way ahead of everybody, but you never really get because again, it's tough. It's tough to put into a live action. It's tough. You know what I mean? Or it's just never been done.
You also,
Yeah, I still
you
say
got-
that little piece of Batman that you get in Batman versus Superman, and please, I will precise though, that it comes off better when you watch the director's cut,
I bet it does.
because I'm serious, the movie is way better with the director's cut.
I
It
heard
makes the movie makes way more sense.
I heard that.
And and Batman in there, you see him being more detective, and like some stuff that were cut out, right? So, dude, I'm telling you, like, I had changed my entire aspect of like he became one of my favorite Batman. Batfleck, like after Keaton, those
Gotcha.
two are the best. Right now at the top.
I would say that's the biggest problem right there is when adapting him to a movie format is the time constraints, because you've got to show off all these different aspects of him, and you only have so long to do the movie.
But it's like a lot of people are like Superman. Superman this, like in Men of Steel, right? Like he's too dark. He kills Zod. He's damaging building, and this. I'm like, dude, he started it. How do you seriously? Do you think that people are born perfect? No, we have to learn by loss, by making a mistake.
I didn't get. Listen, I understand. Listen, there's an argument to be made, um, for how to write Superman and whatnot. And it's a solid argument. I get it. I do. I fall either. To me, it is a solid argument. And, I forget who makes it. I don't know if it's Professor Geek or somebody like this, and he makes a good argument that Superman is designed to be the hero that, like, the other heroes look up to. Like, he is that character and whatnot. Which I do. I understand that. I get that argument, and it's a good argument. In my heart, though, I tend to lean more to, like, what Sim's saying, that I do understand that. But when you're dealing with a character like Superman, I do think that it is important, specifically today. I do think it's important, though, that what you have to learn how to bridge the gap between Superman, the god, and the person reading. And I get it. I get that he's, again, I get that he's the archetype that he's the one that you're like, wow, this is, he's essentially the Jesus Christ of superheroes. I mean, he is, that's what it is. But what happens is there is a story to be told that he's not born that way. And what I loved about Man of Steel was that it looked at that. It looked at this idea that, well, yeah, it's great, but he's not an alien, right? He has alien powers, but essentially he's a human because he's raised by the Kents.
Mm-hmm.
So every sensibility he has, how he views things, is filtered through that. And how do I process that with this alien thing over here that I am?
I mean, one of my favorite things of Superman, and like you said before, like in Justice League, right? Like the miniseries, they brought it up and they illustrated it perfectly what Superman is all about in one episode, right? And this is what we see in Man of Steel. And I'm sure you'll remember that part. It's when he faces freaking Darkseid, and they're fighting. And there's a point where he starts telling the story about how he lives in a world building cardboard.
Mm-hmm.
Every day he needs to keep in check. He can't get mad. He can't get this. He can't let himself get too emotional. He has to keep himself in control at all time because he could do something really bad. He needs to keep himself in check and everything. And then he looks at him, and right now we have this really special occasion when I can just let myself loose and just start bramming freaking Darkseid like a motherfucker. This is Superman. This is the guy that's like, when the definition of saying being a good guy is harder than being an asshole, because anybody can be an asshole. But resisting the temptation and controlling yourself is way harder. So this is the example of Superman. This is why people used to say, like, he's technically a Boy Scout, but he's never been a Boy Scout. That's another line that they use. Yeah, you Boy Scout. I've never been a Boy Scout in my life.
No, I agree. I think that's, but
responsibility.
And again, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but that is an aspect, and that is a story to be told. And that's the thing, is I get it. Some people don't want to tell that story and they just want to move right past it. But it's like, but it is interesting, and I don't think it diminishes his character by showing just what you're saying. And that's what I felt like in Man of Steel. There was this thing where what Man of Steel was about was his decision to try to move into this direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I didn't, it shouldn't have been Man of Steel 2. I mean, because when you mix the Batman thing in, it's like, well, it's not really a Superman story. You can try to make it a Superman story, but it's not really a Superman story. I think you put too much into it. You still could have used Batman, but I think you cramped too much into it. But to me, the pivotal scene in the second one for the Superman arc of the which carried on the theme from the first one is, and it's one of my favorite scenes, is when he has the vision with his dad and Kevin Costner's there, and he tells him this story about how he went and he busted his ass and he did everything he could to divert the water to save the farm. And he did, and he saved the farm. His mom made him a cake, and he's eating his cake, and as he's eating his cake, he can hear the horses at the farm down the road drowning because all the water that diverted went down there.
Yeah.
And killed the horses. And it's like, there's this moment where it's like you have to make these are the hard calls. These are the things. You can't save everyone.
Exactly.
And again, this gets into the heart of building him to the point of saying, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. You're seeing that being built in that. You know what I mean? And so to get to the Christopher Reeves character that you see, you know what I'm saying?
Like that's why they always said that Superman is one of the hardest characters to write for. But you need to understand the character, and yeah, me.
I agree. I mean, you know, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely delicate. I mean, you need to understand those concepts. If you don't understand those concepts, then you know it's easy to screw it up.
Fun fact: created by a Canadian and American. Love it. I love it, dude. I fucking
Every time Superman gets brought up,
dude. That's it, dude. It's iconic when you think about it. To me, it's come on. He's known as one of the first actual superheroes. He's one of the biggest deal there was. And come on, it's a collaboration. I think it's a big, huge deal.
I did look, man. I think that at the core of it, the people who created this stuff, I think you have to look at that stuff. You see, you ask yourself, like, man, wow, what a time that must have been.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, what they were doing is they were channeling, mythology. They're channeling these things, and they repackaged them in these ways that were palatable to people and connected them to people. And people were like, yeah, man, this is we're missing this. We're missing these stories of old. And I think that's what comics is such a great medium for that if you're not, and which goes back to the whole thing of stories of old, hero's journey, like whatever it is, there's a heart to it or a soul to it that again reaches, and this is, I think, at the core of it, the difference between the two ideologies is that I know when I'm writing, and the people who are in Comicsgate who I've been around, Sim and all, people, when I know for myself, and I think these are similar ideas, is that when I'm writing, I am trying to get to the heart and soul of the character that is beyond skin color, that is beyond religion, that is beyond gender, that is beyond those things, that touch it, that is in everyone, so that when you hear it and it has a ring to it. It comes, we call it the language of the heart. It has a ring to it that you understand, not from your head. It doesn't process, because that's where the skin lives, and that's where the gender lives, and that's where the religion lives, and that's where all this ideology lives. But in your heart is another truth. And you're trying to tell a story in a way that goes to that part and alleviates the individual, alleviates all that shit, and goes, that's right. There is something greater to me than just my skin and my gender and my religion and my beliefs. There is something bigger than that, and there's a freedom to that. And I think good stories, good movies do that for you. They free you from all that shit, even for just a moment, and allow you to breathe. You know what I mean? The cosmic breath is just fucking like, man, wow. That's, to me, that's the sweet spot that you're shooting for. And that everyone who is opposed to that, they're trying to lock you into your skin and lock you into your fucking religion, lock you into your sexual identity, lock you into that stuff. They want to enslave you, And so fucking Comicsgate is a fucking, it is a consumer movement, but it's a fucking revolt. We are fucking Spartacus, motherfuckers. That's what this whole fucking thing is about. It's like, fuck you.
And another thing is, don't forget that when people create and they're passionate about it and actually create something, there's a part of them in there too.
Absolutely. The heart is there.
Mm-hmm. That's where it comes from. It's
respond to.
Yeah, to me, there's a difference between, say, themes and agenda, and and there's, and like you are saying, there's like a, artists need to be able to freely express and not get censored, and and we're trying to push themes, like your traditional Western themes, or your heroic virtues, or even just the idea of charity and compassion and things like that. there's nothing wrong with having that in there, but what they're trying to push is agenda and propaganda, and telling you like how to think or how you should, how you should be when themes don't tell you how to think. They just present things, and you can think for yourself. Uh,
I agree. I at the core of it, man. Let me say it like this, because I think what separates all these things is that um because language is always a trip to me, man. 'Cause, but I don't think, and this is a hard one because it's a non-tangible, but I don't think it's necessarily agenda. I think you can have an agenda, and I think we all have agendas. Some are better than others. Um, and I think those people who put the agenda over the
Wouldn't it be
craft.
better to say a message than an agenda?
You can say, listen, and again, you're using language, and
Yeah.
again, I'm gonna tell you why I'm using agenda, because I'm gonna
Oh,
deharm it,
I
right?
get,
Because
I get it. I just wanted to make the link. That before
yeah,
we
yeah,
used to
no,
just call it like
absolutely,
the message behind in the story.
thousand percent, right? 1,000%.
Hmm.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to deharm agenda,
Hmm.
because what happens is because it's used in a way, in a negative way. Immediately when you say it, it's a negativism, when it's not always the case. And I'm trying to, and as Kino was talking, I was thinking about what he's saying, and it's like you can still. This is the first time I'm verbalizing it, so it's probably going to come out all wonky. But you can set an agenda, a message, whatever the agenda, right? I think
Hmm.
what happens is the substance of the agenda will either, I think, will cause things to become toxic, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Um, if my agenda is to, right, tell a good story, right? You understand what I'm saying? If my
Hmm.
agenda is to honor the character, to honor the craft, to honor this stuff, then that's okay, right?
Hmm.
And the only way I can separate the differences is that when I am creating in a way that empowers the reader, right? Because this is where it gets real split. When I empower the reader to be free, right, from whatever chains or whatever the case may be, by allowing the individual to be free, um, I think that's the difference. When the agenda becomes to empower the individual by tearing down other people, I think that's when it becomes toxic and destructive. You know what I mean? Like, it's still an agenda. You can have an agenda one way or the other. But at the core of it, if you're trying to empower people by harming other people or by tearing other people down, I think that's what everybody's saying. Like, the problem with your agenda is you assume everyone else who's not like you is bad, and therefore you have to harm them. And that is at the core of it. This is the problem. You're using this vehicle to tear people down instead of to empower people to be free from these chains. You know what I mean? And so I think the whole thing is, whether you have an agenda or whatever the case may be, I think if your motive behind what you're doing, and again, this is one of those weird things, because again, only an individual knows what his motives are, but we are judged by our works. And I think if you're there to empower people to be free, right? It again, it shows, because again, if that's what your motive is, then you'll set people free and you'll make people happy, because they'll be free for that moment, and they'll, and you know how you tell? You tell when they come back and want more of it.
Mm.
And then when your agenda is to basically empower. I'm gonna pull it back some. When your agenda is to empower yourself by tearing other people down, people know that and they sense that, and there's something nasty about that people tend to pull back from,
Hmm.
right? Because my story in Sim, you the same way. It's like, what I'm trying to do, again, back, I am trying to empower the individual to be free.
Yep.
If your agenda is to empower yourself by tearing other people down, and that's the real difference between the two paths. They're both agenda, and that's what I'm trying to say, Sam. There's no reason in arguing over that. They're both agenda,
Yep.
and this is where we get back to. But one
But
agenda
an
is
agenda, at the base of it, it means that you have a goal.
Absolutely. And what is your ultimate goal? And that's at the core of it is like we're both trying to empower people. It's just I'm trying to empower the person reading the book to be free, and you're just trying to empower your fucking self. And that's the fucking difference between the two fucking ideologies.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Yeah, agenda was probably a poor word on my part, poor word, and I should have.
No, it's not.
No, that's the thing. That's the problem.
It
You
is.
cannot demonize words neither.
Correct. Correct. It is. No, you use the right word. It's just it's been so gaslit by the other side that you know what I mean. Like you're afraid to use it. And it's like no, fuck that. No, it is the fucking agenda. It just so happens that my agenda is better than yours. Let's just call it what the fuck it is, dude. The table. Like what are you trying to do? Because if you're trying to do the same thing I'm trying to do, then we're cool. That's the whole thing. Like it's like if you're saying you're trying to empower people to be free, cool. Me too. I'm trying to empower the individual to be free. That's an internal journey for the individual. That has nothing to do with the outside world. That has nothing to do with going to be an activist and going to fight this and all this kind of other stuff. Because the real battle is internally how I've allowed these things to enslave me. I allowed that. How do I overcome these things? It's internal. It's an inside job. It's not about going to tear down the patriarchy. That's not going to do it because the moment you tear it down, that hole inside of you, it's still there. And you're going to have to find something else to fucking tear down. And you're going to have to find something else to tear down. And at the end, what you're going to realize is that you're just a cancer. That's all you are. You're a cancer. And every time you get around something, you infect it and destroy it. That's the problem with that ideology. It never solves that internal hole. It just keeps it growing and growing and growing and absorbing and eating more and more and more. And that's it. It's
and
like
they're spreading everywhere.
Every fucking where. For everything it touches, bro.
Mm-hmm. They even they even got to the manga part and the European comics.
Oh, it's hitting like Warhammer 40K now.
Yep.
It's everywhere.
It's a trip, bro.
Yeah, but you know how I see this? It's like, dude, in life, you have to try and find a positive in anything that gets thrown in your goddamn face, right?
Yes, sir.
It's shitty. It's fucking shitty what they're doing. Yeah, maybe. But this is our time. This is time for new creations.
Yeah.
Like I said before CG, people didn't give two damns about new characters. They would come to people like me, Vinny, and others to cons and go, "Oh, we love what you do. Do you have Batman? Do you have Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
The characters are cool, but you have those."
Yeah.
And now it's different. We got to a point where, hey, they got fat and greedy and this and that, and now they're just,
they're getting complacent.
Yes,
absolutely.
So now it's time for us to come in and.
Absolutely. Yeah. Opportunity. There's a complete opportunity there.
That's what happens. Like by doing so, we have an opportunity to shine now. So
absolutely, 1000%.
It's time for us to show up. It's put up or shut up.
Hey, going. This has been a deep stream. I haven't even had a chance to even go through the chat.
What happens when you get me and Slim together, baby? It's wild, bro.
I feel like what was it? The ancient Greeks were over here like philosophizing.
Dude, one of the first times that me and him get to talk, it's like we've been friends for a long time.
I need to go.
Brother. Same heart.
Soul said good morning to everybody. Let's see. Oh, Alice Matt was here.
He said, he's right. What coffee are you drinking this morning before you continue? Because you usually start the show with that shit. You didn't.
Well, shut up, Sam. I had a French toast again. Alice Matt says a YouTube show. People are talking instant sub. Well, Alice Matt, you should have already been subbed.
Cool.
Yodam says good morning, everyone. Hey, Yodam. Yodam recommended a creator to come on the show. Was it yesterday? I think. I need to actually get a hold of that fella and schedule him in.
Which one?
Because what was their name? I think they're doing a book called Hammer. I think.
Okay.
Or something like that. It's like a post-apocalyptic book. I need to contact them and schedule them in Because I mean, if someone like Yodam gives the seal of approval, a regular from the chat, I got to get him in here.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Let's see. What's this? This is great. I'm 1 year older than the last morning roast now. God's hand deserves way more attention.
Yeah, dude. Anthony, I don't know if you've been on you've seen the show before, but Soul is like the other co-host. He's just in the chat. And we all roast each other here, as you can see.
That's awesome.
He asked us the degenerated coffee flavor today.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Sam hated being reduced to writing French books due to his identity.
Ah,
I am so happy of CG now. Like I write English.
I buy dead wood. Let's see. Oh, Sunsworn? Yeah, go back Sunsworn. Hopefully, you can get to that audiobook stretch goal. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I need to get to that finishing that print there too.
Not everyone has soul, but this show sort of has. That's true. He's in our chat. KO Ace.
No, brother.
KO Ace.
Soul's bringing up the Nolan Batman films. Let's see. Yodam says his Watchmen is one of my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, that one I actually did watch. It's pretty good.
300.
Oh, Phil's here. Phil.
I bet the farm was cake too.
Hail Red Syrup.
Happy Friday.
Hail Hex.
What's up, Hex? Alan.
Hex.
Adventures of Anthony Figaro and Best Agenda.
Did you guys see the heavy metal show that we did? Hex Allen was there with us. He showed us freaking dude. He has animation cell from the original heavy metal animated movie.
Oh, was he in the stream?
Yeah, he was on the stream. He's
Oh,
going to be
awesome.
joining us. He's going to be joining us more often on the Bede Welder, where we cover like
That's
European
good.
comics and stuff. Yeah.
I need to get him. We need to get him in the morning show. He's working on a book. Whenever he's ready to present it.
Yep.
Shut up, Finn.
In and out.
Yes. So French toast again. It tastes decent, so I got it.
Well, Soul's slinging them,
Oh.
boy. He's slinging them
Oh,
days.
so's birthday was yesterday. It's 44.
Oh, he's the same
Happy
age as me.
birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
That's
We're
what
both
it is.
we're both 44.
That's what it is. That's
So-
the other thing. I'm 43, so it's a generational thing, bro.
So
Yeah.
he's another one from the Year of the Dragon, brother.
You know,
Yeah, okay, so it is Hammer. I'll have to check that out. But today we are checking out God's Hand.
Yep.
yes,
A New Orleans supernatural thriller. And I'm disappointed. I thought I backed that thing. Gonna have to fix that soon.
Yeah, that's the same here. I was like, oh man, I want to back this, but I kept like putting it off.
Dude, I think
To be honest.
I think that it's one of those. I think I backed it, dude. But like the Gods Fear Me happened, and it happens to other
that's what
people.
I'm saying, dude. It's when you start backing shit, dude. It's like because at any given, I know for me, anyways, it's like I have so much allotted, each month or each week or whatnot. It's like, and there's only so many you can get to, and some weeks are better than others, and it's like you can easily lose track of that shit. I mean,
It's not just that, and one of the things that I wanted that I mentioned was the fact that right now is that some people sometimes Indiegogo, let's just say that a lot of people were trying to back me, and they would say, "Hey, your backer 245," and it didn't go through. So you become the ghost. You realize that when you go in your thing, like there's ghost numbers. There's missing, like you'll have like a hole between backer 25 and 30.
huh?
That's what happens. Sometimes it's the bank that goes, "Oh, this is too far," or something like that. It seems illegal, or you've been doing too many of those purchases, so your credit card's going to refuse it. Could be the bank. It happened to a few people. For me, it happens to like
Really?
yeah.
It happens to me all the time. The
Mm-hmm.
bank's always like, no.
You have to call the bank and go, "Come on."
I'm like, come on, bank, give me. Let me have my money.
I'm gonna have to go through that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Sometimes
go through that.
Indiegogo comes out as a fraud for them or something, like a risk of fraud.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, and since the whole pandemic stuff that's been going on, my bank won't let me buy anything outside the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, it automatically just rejects it.
Like, dude, I was gonna order some stuff from Heavy Metal Magazine. They don't even deliver here anymore for a period of time. I'm like, what?
Huh. It's crazy, bro. I'm gonna have to check that, man.
So, who's Anthony Figaro?
Some fucking guy, bro. Some fucking dude. I don't know, bro. I mean, he's one of these. Look, he's from New Orleans. He's got an Italian last name. That's suspect right there. 2 fucking
Right.
strikes against the guy.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
He's one of those what they call an Itasian. You gotta be careful with those guys. Bro. An Italian Cajun watching.
My bank has already rejected it just from that premise.
Exactly. Like New Orleans, no way. You'll get COVID just from digitally purchasing anything from there.
You haven't heard of that voodoo thing?
Exactly. It'll come with Grigri attached to it.
Exactly. You know, by buying this, you're also signing your soul away. Be aware. That's why it's called
I don't
God's
tell
hand.
anybody that shit though, you know.
Oh, okay, so forget it.
That's why you know what I mean? Like it's low key. You know what I mean? Low key. Let me put it like this.
That should be a hint, right? Come on.
10 years you get before they come collect. So you got, it's good.
You know, write this. There should be a hint.
Look at that.
Baron Sandy, is that it? Or Baron Friday?
Yeah, it's either or, whichever one causes you to take money out of your pocket and spend it, that's who he is. That's the one.
That dude, he looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's based off Baron Samedi, but I mean, it's Samedi's one of his identities, but essentially he's the king of the dead of the underworld.
Samedi.
It's Samedi.
Yeah. I take
it's Saturday in French.
Yeah, I take It's weird. I know it's a few of them. It's strange. It's like again because it's all lore and shit. So basically, I take a kind of like a Dragon Ball Z take on it, where basically he sits like King Yema, and basically he sits when the souls come in and shit like that. So like that's his role and shit.
The art looks great.
Yeah, I've been wanting to back this. I keep going like, I need to back this. I need to back. I'm glad it's so in demand.
Is that going to be one we're gonna back together for a 2 copy?
Gosh dang it, Sam!
Hey, dude, that's where I keep telling people. Take advantage of those 2 and 3 free packs.
Absolutely.
You can buy it with friends.
Sam's like, can't help but notice you got 2 copies there. I just need to send it my way real fast.
Remember that money I lent you? You just give me a couple of those.
But yeah, go grab that book because it looks freaking great. Because I was looking at the pages there, dude. It looks awesome.
Yeah,
it looks like a good deal here too. 52 pages and for $15. That's pretty good.
Ooh, sexy.
We got prints, cards, and I got some extra stuff. We call like I said, the lanyard bag. The lanyard being extra, but we have a lanyard bag that comes along because we got some extra stuff that's going to come with it. That is, you'll see when you get it. But we throw some extra shit in there.
This is the perfect moment to use that line. Stop the press. Who's that?
That's called get your money out of your pocket. Girl. You can have one of these prints. You get one of those, man. Do what you want with it.
I like the little bear in the back with the wings.
Yeah.
And Joe Bear.
It's been a lot of fun to do.
So you write and draw this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it started, like I said, it started out kind of like a challenge. It was like how to put together a story. Because again, you got a lot of stories about New Orleans.
Mhm.
New Orleans is the backdrop, so you have voodoo and you have all these stuff like this, but it's like, how do you use actual characters, actual, people from New Orleans, legends from New Orleans? And so it was like, okay, cool. So you got Marie Laveau, which everybody kind of knows, but then it's like, and it's weird because, and I'm sure it's like this, you don't know this until you dig into it, but it's like there's these characters who they've been around your entire life, so you don't know that other people don't know about them, right? So Jean Lafitte is one of them, right? So Jean Lafitte was a pirate; he was a real pirate, and we got a state park, we got streets and all kind of stuff named after him. So you just think, well, yeah. And then you study it in school a little bit, right? But you don't pay attention to it because if you're not from New Orleans, it's no big deal. It's just another guy from history. But if you're from New Orleans, oh yeah, Jean Lafitte, he fought, in the War of 1812. He fought with Andrew Jackson for the Battle of New Orleans. Without him helping Andrew Jackson, they lose the Battle of New Orleans, which alters everything. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because you're from New Orleans, you're like, yeah, it's a badass cat, bro. So I take this character, Jean Lafitte, and so then I kind of use history. I like doing this. I like mixing in history and then weaving stories around that. So it's like, okay, so historically everything stays except for when he dies, right? There's this thing that happens where he drinks the waters of life and becomes immortal. So his death is still on the books, but after that becomes my story. And then I take him and I say, okay, well, what ends up happening is he ends up in this, what we call, I call it the NOPD, but it's really just I guess the OPD, but it's the Occult Protection Division. He's in the New Orleans Occult Protection Division. And so what happens is there's these divisions all over the world that exist, especially in these areas where there's what I call rifts between dimensions, where there's this dark, chaotic energy that leaks through. And so you have these supernatural hotspots. Transylvania would be one, New Orleans would be one. And so it's these spots around the globe that have this high spiritual energy. And so then they have these divisions which oversee all this stuff. And so essentially it's the cult protection divisions. And what they do is that so you have all these things, you have vampires, werewolves, all magic, all this stuff that happens. But then you have a veil that's cast over everything. And so what happens is they're out to kind of protect the veil and protect the interests of the normies and stuff against this monsters and things like that. And so Lafitte is basically a part of that with Marie Laveau. And something happens during Katrina, which gets him exiled from New Orleans. And so he's been outside of New Orleans for the last 15 years. And so what the story picks up with him and his team, he has this band of misfit hunters. He's a mercenary monster hunter, and they're hunting this thing. And, it's like an intro thing. And then he kind of gets this call, and it's basically like, hey, listen, we need you back in New Orleans. Marie Laveau's been murdered and her soul's been stolen, which is a huge cardinal sense, a huge no-no. And so he gets called back to New Orleans, and they give him 48 hours to solve who stole her soul, who killed her. And there's a book that's missing that she had, and he has to wrap all that up in 48 hours. And that's what the entirety of the book is.
So he's a mumbo jumbo police from the Bayou.
Exactly. The other side,
I've been waiting for that line.
I swear to God, I tell people, I say it's a mix between, if you mix Hellboy and Angel Heart, if you mix those two movies together, you get a semblance. I don't know, you guys ever seen Angel Heart?
Yep.
Okay, so Angel Heart and Hellboy, if you mix those two together, that's what you end up with. You haven't seen Angel Heart, go see it. It's a great movie.
So here you have the signature series variant. So that's the variant sign.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one with. Now you don't get the signature. Well, you get a signature from me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Andy Kuhn cover that we got.
Comes with a metal bookmark.
Correct, though.
And 15, that's the original cover, the book.
Yeah, correct.
20, that's the variant cover.
Yes, just the book.
signature series is
Now this is, you get the book with the Indiegogo exclusive cover plus the signature.
International Signature Series 25. Oh,
Correct. This is
oh, hello. What's
Ooh.
that?
one of those-
What makes it so international?
the shipping. The shipping cost is what makes it international. This is one of those ones where it was like, when I set up the signature series and it had sold a few, I think it was sold like 20 or 20 something. And then I was like, I don't have any international shipping on this thing. I'm like, God damn it. And I wasn't going to, and I would look. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to hide it because I don't want to hide my 25 sales. You know, this was early on. I was desperate for sales. I said, so I'll make another one and I'll just call it the International Signature Series. Sounds sexy. Sounds, you know, even Sim's like, what's this? The International Signature.
I was like, what am I getting? A little bonus or something? Am I getting a discount on the shipping or something?
No discount. But you're getting a little extra. It's just charged. You just charged extra.
You have the T-shirt for $25.
Yeah, and you can add that on too. It's in the add-on as well.
Sweet. Double trouble, meaning you get both covers.
That one you get both. Okay, so you get the
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, Chris.
you get that one. You get the IG exclusive, and then you get the standard. The standard is the color version. The IG is the charcoal version.
Cool. Double Trouble Part 2.
That you get the IG, and then you get the Andy Coon cover.
Then you got the Triple Elite for $75, where you get all 3 covers.
Correct.
Oh, that's a sexy one. That looks like a hardcover.
Yeah, that's
Creator control.
Yeah, now this you get a lot out of this one. So you get metal prints, you get a T-shirt, hats, you get the original artwork for the cover, and then what we do is what we really add to it is that, and I'm assuming the convention's still going to be on, but Wizard World has a convention here every year, and as long as you can get here, I'll get you in, and I'll get you to come sit behind the table with me and experience a convention behind the table. And then afterwards, we're going to go have a drink in Jean Lafitte's blacksmith shop, which is the oldest standing bar in the country, which was Jean Lafitte's spot back in the day on Bourbon Street. And then after I get you all liquored up, then I'll be like, hey, let's think of some ideas for the story, for the next part of the story. And then you get to develop your own character and stuff like that. You get to kind of see how the story comes together, plot devices, all this kind of stuff like that.
And that looks sweet as a hardcover, right? We all want that eventually, right?
Absolutely, 1,000%. I can send you the link to that where you can actually, you know, put your cover on there, and it makes it look like it's actually your book.
Oh, yeah. Send me the link.
I will. It's like, oh man, at least you can look at it in fantasy. This is it right here.
But dude, that's one of the things that I was thinking of offering in one of the next campaign. There, I've been checking into it. Right, the idea of charging like more, like maybe like $250, maybe even further, but to have an extra limited print on demand type of thing for a hardcover.
Sure. I mean, you know what I mean. You know as well as I do. The longer you do it, the longer you start learning how to play with your perks and how to move things around and how to add these tiers and stuff like this. You know what I mean? And it becomes fun too, because it's an interactive thing with the people, and you get to offer this thing up, and it's like, cool, man. Here it is, you know, and I get to see. It makes me just as happy to see it created. You know.
Let's see if we got you a new backer. Not yet. Chris.
Shut up, Sam.
You know, it's a second to marinate. You know, they're still absorbing it, taking it in, right? It's like yes.
Dude, your book looks amazing.
I do need to back it.
We like I said, we should be shipping out end of August, and then what's cool is I got a friend of mine who we did work for back in the day, Marcus DeGisu, is coming in to CG, and he's going to be dropping a book in October. He's helping me right now. He's kind of my editor partner on this to help me kind of make it look pretty, design and stuff like that. But as soon as this drops, we'll be dropping this Justice City Chronicles, which will be on the heels of that, which will be fun. You know, I keep talking, I keep telling him like, bro, like Comicsgate, man. Like you come in, it's all these, you know, it's a great environment. I tell people, I said that in that debate, you know, it's like, look, I was like, I don't know what you think you know, but let me tell you what I do know. Like I moved over to Comicsgate and was immediately accepted and supported and added to all these chat rooms. And guess what? They didn't hand out any Nazi symbols, and they didn't ask me to sign any pledges that I couldn't do this and I couldn't talk about this. And it's none of that. It has nothing to do with all that stuff. You know, I said it's just a bunch of really cool people, man, who are willing to help you and support you in your making these comics and in your cause and stuff. And it was just, you know, and it's like, and that's what it is. You know, I told this guy, it's funny, Sam. I almost said this when you and I were on, but I was on the other night with someone, and this topic came up, and I said, look, I tell you what, I said, we'll put it to the test. I said, here's the real deal. I said, you're non-CG. You sound like you're not for CG. I said, I tell you what. I said, I'll go on my Twitter feed and my Facebook feed, and I'll promote your book. I said, you know what's going to happen? Nothing. No one's going to say a fucking thing to me. I said, now you go ahead and you go post my shit on your page, right? Go post it on my, and let's see who gets attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just put it to the test. That's all you got to do. Let's put it to the test. Who gets the venom? Who gets attacked in this, right? Because that's the whole idea. Is these guys over here, man, are supportive. These people over here are not, and it's just that simple.
Dude, there's many people in CG that will retweet campaigns that are not CG. CG is about, you know, like and enjoy what you like, and that's it. But it's true that the other way around doesn't work at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like, dude, like here in when I started like the first campaign, I learned something very quickly, that all the people that I was part of here in like the comic book community, nope. Well, even a friend of like a few years kind of like decided that I was a Trump lover and a conservative. I'm like, dude, how did I change? I'm still the same person I was like 2 years ago.
1,000%.
Mm-hmm. This is how bad it's getting. And by the way, did you see that Soul shared the Count Carlos comic link to Dropbox, so you can have a sample of the writing chops of Mister.
There you go.
And you know, you can say on how he expressed himself and how he, that he's a good writer.
Thank you.
You feel the passion in it. No, dude, you take the time to make people, you use words to make people see and understand what you want. You know, like you can talk your way into making people see an image in their head, and that's one of the biggest trait of an actual storyteller.
Well, I am susceptible to flattery, Sim. So, thank you, man. That's a compliment. Thank you. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Because I do. I respect what you think. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't bullshit.
No, I know that's why you and I get along too. I think we recognize that in one another. That I play and I joke, right? I do. I like to have fun, right? Yep. So I do, and so I joke and I play. But for the most part, like if you sit down, you talk to me, like what you see is what you get, or what you hear is what you get. You know what I mean? Like this is I'll repeat the same stuff over and over again, like regardless of who I'm in front of or where I'm at or this, that, and the other. I believe in certain things, and that's what
I don't change by where I am. I am wherever I go.
No, it don't pay off. It just don't pay. You know what I mean? I played all the games. This is the thing, man. I am no saint. I am no angel. I am no. I've done it all. I've lied, manipulated, cheated, stole. I've been it all. You know what I mean? So I know what lies and all this bullshit smell like. I know what they sound like because I done fucking told them. You know what I mean? And so it's like I try to be around people now who are basically the opposite of that. I try because I'm trying to be something different. So I try to gravitate towards people who are trying to strive for the same things that I'm striving for. We're not
You know,
we don't always hit the mark, but I find that if you surround yourself with people who are trying to be their best selves, you know, it's like there's no better place to be. Whether you agree on things, disagree on things, or whatever the case may be, at the core of it, you got a bunch of people who are saying, I'd like to be my best self today. You know, and that's it.
agreed 100%.
I'm not sure which perk level to buy.
What?
I'm not sure which perk to get.
You get the 2 or the 3 one.
Well, either that, or you can get that creator control for 2,000, brother. I mean, you know, it's there. It's within your grasp. You know.
I can get that and I can be like, so
I ain't quite that good yet. I can't quite that good yet.
I could
He's getting there. You almost had him.
Measly 2,000. You know.
yeah, I'll get that and then I can be like, so for the next book, you need to have me in there getting killed.
Got it. Done. That could happen. That could happen. One of my lines, people walk up at a convention and like, hey, can I pick this up and look at this? And I'm like, well, sure. I mean, because I don't want to stand between you and your artwork. So absolutely, by all means, pick it up. It's potentially yours, man, for a measly price of $2,000.
You know. Sam, which cover you like?
Me, I like the one with the Baron a lot. I don't know. The charcoal one is my favorite.
Of course.
Like I love the idea of the charcoal background with the green. You know, it's my colors. I love that shit. The Baron is also sweet, but my favorite is the charcoal Baron.
I guess
I'm probably gonna have to do a fan art soon, but you know how freaking busy I am lately.
you let me know. That's the other thing. I've been meaning to tell you that. Like, if you need anything, you know, you need help with anything, you know, you holler at me, man. Sketch cards, whatever the case may be. You need help on anything, you just holler at me.
Oh, that would be sweet. You just
You're making me think. You're making me think now because it's weird. Because you can't think of everything, and so it's like I'm listening to you talk about the book and the cover, and I'm watching Kino, and it's like, yeah, I like the gray cover too. I wish you could have a perk that has 2 gray covers, you know. And I'm thinking, because I never think. I'm thinking, well, no, you know, it's like, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, that's a cool cover, but then they got this cover here, and this cover, you know, like, oh, well, I had that. You don't think that, and so I'm thinking I probably should add as an add-on.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to ask you.
Yeah.
For add-on.
Yeah, I don't have it as an ad. I don't have another copy as an add-on.
Yeah,
I need to do. Yes, correct. Exactly correct. That's I'm gonna do that.
And you know, Anthony, same goes for you. You know, if you need anything, you just reach out.
Yeah, brother. Thank you, man.
Exactly. So exactly.
Can I please die in this? He just wants to make that final commission that I'm going to be doing for him bigger. Yeah. The idea is to have him, like, you know, like his idea is to be like, you know, the idea of the one. Chris is dying in every book. So there's only one left, and he'll be protected by all the characters. So technically, he wants me to draw him there with his arm crossed, like, you know, like I'm here, and you see all the characters of the books he died in around him.
Gotcha.
To protect them. And I'm like, I like the idea. It's gonna be a sweet, long one, but it's gonna be sweet. I just told him, wait till I'm done fulfilling everything in blood, and then it's your turn.
Oh, what is all
this? It's not being last on the list. Books they priority, dude. Campaigns.
Man, I'm telling you, bro.
All right, there's add-ons here. What's this remark?
Okay, so remark is basically I'll draw a little sketch in the corner on the inside.
Wait, hold on. I should probably share screen so people can see what I'm asking them.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I suppose that would.
Especially you want to stick with the host with the most.
Hey,
What?
use your sass.
Oh,
So
metal print.
what is Count Carlos about?
Okay, so that's the book I did. I worked on. I was the artist on that book. Basically, what happened was that book started me back into comics. Without getting way off kilter here, but I was in comics in like 2000 and first convention I ever went to was 2003. I went to Chicago Wizard World, and I met Marcus, and I met there, and he got me into doing my first book for Ape Entertainment, and we did an omnibus, and then we turned that story that was in the omnibus into a book called Justice City Chronicles, and we released that. That was releasing in 2005. The omnibus came out in four. That came out in five. And what happened was it was dropping in October of 2005, and we had a whole thing planned. And what happened was Katrina. Katrina happened in August 2005, and it just fucking annihilated all my comic path. And then I got fucking way off the reservation into drugs and alcohol, and I was a fucking maniac, bro, for like 10 years. And I was already there. Let me rephrase this. I was already there.
You just got lost into it. Yeah.
And so for 5 years, I was fucking out there, bro. Out there. Like, got arrested at my wedding, wound up going to jail. I just all kind of fucking crazy shit, bro. So by the time 2010 rolls around, I stumble into a 12-step program, right? And so then I sober up, and I've been sober since then. But like the first couple of years, man, I'm got so much fucking wreckage just from being a fucking maniac that I'm repairing. That I get back to the convention scene like in 14, right? Which is completely fucked. I mean, it's completely changed. It's totally changed from 05, 06 to 14, bro. It's just it's a whole different world, man. I go there, I show up, I got my portfolio and shit, and I'm like, hey guys, and it's like, oh yeah, Marvel and DC, yeah, they don't come anymore. Like what the fuck? All these people selling prints and shit, and I'm like, what the fuck is
now it's just cosplayers and actors. What?
It's totally right. It's an expo. It's not a comic book convention.
Nope.
It's an expo. So anyway, so I show up there in 14. I get a table. The next year I get a table. And then at the end of 15, a friend of mine turns this guy. He says, hey, look, man, so and so turned me on to you. He says, like, I got a movie, but I'd like to turn it into a comic, He's like, I got a screenplay and shit. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. He's like, yeah, we'll crowdfund it and all this kind of stuff like this. Prior to this, I'm just kind of like, I don't know a lot about crowdfunding. Hey, from my world, I was like, wait a minute, people are going to give you money for product that they don't have yet. I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. So we get into this, and I make this book, and we crowdfund it, man. I think we hit 12,000 for it or whatnot, and it sinks. And basically, the end of 2016, the beginning of 17, we end up back at Wizard World, and it's like it had led that back into me making a book, because being an artist, and Sim will tell you this, being an artist is one thing, and if you go to conventions now, there's 100 artists there, right? That can draw superheroes, that can draw all this stuff, and which is good. But drawing a comic book is a completely different skill set. It's not the same thing. You're not drawing one picture. You're having to tell a story. You're having to lay this stuff out in a way that pulls the reader down the page in a very specific way that doesn't jar them, that doesn't have them going, what's this? It doesn't, you want to immerse them into this stuff. It's a totally different skill set. And it bled that back into me. And so I was like, well, man, I'd like to get back to this. This is what I'd like to get back to. And, stumbling, fumbling my way around these old paths. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, then there's this rise of Indiegogo, and there's this whole thing. Because when I came back to comics, I was like, what the fuck is going on, man? And it was funny because the first book I really got back into was Old Man Logan, which was so funny because I was the Old Man Logan. Like they send me, and he's like, "Where's the Hulk at?" And he's like, "You're not Banner. Like, who are you? Like, where's Hawkeye? Who's this girl?" Like he's like, he's me, and he's like, "Well, who are all these people? This is not the universe that I grew up in." And so I wind up kind of like, well, what's going on? And then it's like, the whole, and then everybody else kind of has the same. It's like Myers pops up, the whole thing goes off, and
Then you ask a few questions, and then you start being called a bigot. And
the other thing, right? So
What?
for me, what I did was I laid off on the questions, right? Because my old criminal nature was like, you might want to be quiet for a second. Now, hold on, let's get a lay of the land first, right? So I sit back and I go in and I do my own research, and I spend hours listening to podcasts and listening to live streams and listening to recorded streams and listening to everything and just sitting back and just going, okay, I got you. Watching this again. I didn't make it this far by being a complete fucking, I didn't survive, right? So it's like, okay, well, this looks like this. Right? So you start saying, well, this is what it looks like this. So then you get into the whole talking, and then you start to realize there's this element of complete delusionality they're just delusional, right? And then you have this other group of people who they just aren't paying attention, right? And they're just filtering what everyone else, the loudest voice in the room, is saying, right? And then you have this other group of people who feel the same way you feel. They're just scared to say anything. And then you have this group of people who are actually saying it. And so you wind up looking at the lay of the land, and it's like, everybody, from myself, look, you try to be, the person who says something in a respectable way, because you're happy to still be a fucking alive. I'm happy to still be alive, right? So you say things in a respectable way because I lived in a disrespectful way for so long. And then you find there's just this, you can't help but to be attacked. You can't help but be thrown into this category. And it's funny for you, because for me, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, motherfucker, I've been around. I've been in the pits. I've been down in the dregs. I know what this shit looks like. I know what it smells like. I seen it. What the way you're talking, you ain't never seen it before. That's why you saying what the fuck you saying, because you ain't never seen it like this before, man. And so all of a sudden you just get to the point to where you're like, look, man, I'm not a free man to live in fear. I didn't get sober, right? And escape death and escape jail and escape all these things to live like a prisoner. So you just get to the point to where you're like, well, where's this at? And you wind up here. Just what you just said, Sim. I didn't really change that much. I just basically found the people who were saying the same things I was saying. Yep. And it just so wound up, I'm in comics. That means I'm Comicsgate. That's what that means. For me.
It's called being like-minded. And
so to go a long way around, Count Carlos was a book that I worked on. And now you can own a copy.
I think one of the things that you mentioned that I think the most important to pull out of it is one of the things that they first tell you when you want to write is you have to live. Right? You have to experience life, hardship, losses before you can actually understand other people. You have to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes so you can write.
Empathy is
and knowing loss, knowing hardship, losing, working your butt off, earning something, losing everything, brings everything in perspective, and it reflects in your story. And it's one of the things that I always mention. It's like right now, when you look at characters, you don't have people. You don't have people with flaws. You have people that adapt and change whenever the whims of the writer is just to make the story flow better for them. And in reality, a character that has like high traits will have flaws to compensate for this thing, or nobody's perfect, and there's a balance in it.
Sure.
So somebody that's really into books, well, he doesn't have much of a social life because he reads books more often than anyone else. It's not in bars. It's that's why it's like no, but now when you watch movies, or it's like it's Mr. and Mr. Everybody. It's like they're everything at once. They can change from a loving person to a hateful person to a very broken down person to the most solid person you've ever seen in the fraction of a second, without nothing making sense out of it.
Right. Well, that's I think what you're saying. That's what that is just again poor craftsmanship. Because again,
Mhm.
you know as well as I do something. I mean, you can have a character do all those things, but if he's able to do all those things, that is making a statement. If you do not follow up him being able to shift like that
Mhm.
without why he's able to do that or what's the cost of living that way,
Yep.
right? There's an ultimate reality that's missing from the equation, as if no, he can just do all those things, and it's like, yeah, but the reality of it is, motherfucker, because I've done all those things.
Mhm.
I've fucking done every one of those things.
Dude, to be
Fuck, I done,
invested as we are in comics or stuff like that, we made sacrifices. It's one of the things that when you want to become the best at something, or you want to be something, there's sacrifice you will make. Things will come first.
I think that's the again, like you said, I don't know. I can only speak from my own experience, and the only way that I know those things is through my scars.
Mhm.
Right? It's through my failures. It's through those things. You know what I'm saying? And by that I don't mean that someone else can't write or accomplish or say the same things. I mean, some people have natural talent, and it just
Yeah,
flows like that.
but
I
it's
know
it's
from
also it's also a good example, dude. That's why I like the fact that you're saying it, because you have a lot of people that lose that get discouraged because they failed once, dude. It's like the biggest winner in the world has lost and failed more times than he succeeded before he did.
it's so weird, man. I don't know what the fuck's up with that, but that's such a fucking strange thing because I know when I was a kid,
Hmm.
that was never.
Dude,
It
that was my
wasn't
drive. Somebody goes, "Hey, what? You can't climb that mountain."
right.
Really?
Yeah, it's this weird thing where it's like no one, right, but no one explains to you this concept, and it isn't until like the last, and maybe it's just my ears have learned how to or tuned into it now, but
Hmm.
I wasn't before that like failure is not just a part, it's a feature of success.
It's
Like
training.
yeah, yeah, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, well, of course, but failure is simply just um, getting the dead wood out of the way to get to what is really there. Like,
You know,
of course
you
you're
need.
gonna, of course you're gonna go through these things. You
Sometimes I
know,
think
like
that you need those failures to the point that you don't fear failing anymore. You're just gonna go for it.
my father told me this late, and again later when I was older and we could have real conversations, and we were into boxing, right? And I love old boxing. I don't watch too much new boxing, but old boxing, like Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, Larry Holmes, like just older boxing. Muhammad Ali, just people like this,
Hmm.
Hagler, Hearns, and stuff like this. Like he said, he would tell me, he's like, that what makes a great champion is not his wins, it's how he handles his losses. That's what makes
Hmm.
a champion. When he loses or he gets knocked out, how does he act then? Because that will determine if he's a champion or not.
He gets back up,
Exactly.
dusts it
You
off,
know.
and then comes back for more.
Yeah.
Round two.
Which is one of the reasons why Muhammad Ali is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Because you're looking at a guy he had all this stuff. All that stuff was stripped away from him, and then had to come back, and then lost, and he had to come back, and had to fight back from all those things, and recap, was knocked down, was all these things, but still, this is why he's a great champion.
Hmm.
These guys who have lost and come back and reclaimed, it's like this is what makes him great. So from that standpoint, I think it's unhealthy that we're it's good to be driven to succeed, But it's this weird unhealthiness that if you fail, that we take it to this personal fucking level that somehow I failed because there's something inherently wrong with me and I'm a loser. And it's like, no, you just lost
That's
this
called
time.
it's,
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's
wouldn't it be like the imposter syndrome that kicks in or something? I think that would be like
wait,
it's
say
one of
again
the
because you broke up on me.
the imposter syndrome. You know, I think that's what it feeds on. Like you get to that point where you know you have a failure, then you think that you never had the chops. That
I
maybe it
got
was never for
sure,
you.
1,000%. I hate. Let me tell you
Yeah.
something. That shit is magnified when it comes to alcoholism and shit, bro. Like, wow, dude, I swear for like a couple years after I was sober, man, it was like I had to. I got into this place where it was like, because I never did pay attention to it, but it would be like, you have to start paying attention to this stuff. And so I would be like, yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this, and immediately I'd be followed up with, you're gonna fuck that up, and I'd be like, this is me telling me this, and I'm like, why? What the fuck's up, bro? Like, why are you
Yeah.
fucking? Why are you telling me this? You know what I mean? Like immediately, okay, I gotta go speak in front of some people. You're gonna fuck it up, or they're gonna know. They're gonna find out. You know, this shit is like, bro, shut
It's
the fuck up. What is this bullshit? I thought we were trying to succeed here, motherfucker.
in psychology they call it the tape. It's your negative tape. It's you know your doubts and everything that just keeps going, or you know when people are telling you that you're shit, in your head, it starts getting in your head,
Sure,
and that's what you know that technically
sure.
you break through in a way. You know you need to change that tape. Meaning I can do it. You know let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get
It's
it
tough,
done.
right? It's tough, man, because you know one of the things that has helped me, man, is again sitting down and actually doing what we call inventories, you know, and sitting down and looking at, okay, well, how's your current relationships in your life? Like, let's look at everybody you have relationships with. Are they good? You know, are they good relationships? You know, and it's like, well, why not? Right? And then you know, and in the program, they put you in this box where they're like, yeah, write down why you're pissed off at people. Write down how they hurt you. Write down all this stuff, and you're like, yeah, fuck these people, and they hurt me like this. And it's like, okay, now in the last part, we want you to write down where were you at fault in all this. It's like, wait a minute, hold on a second, now. Wait a second. What about them? And it's like, yeah, well, you have no power over them. What about you, motherfucker? What's going on in your fucking head? What kind of attitudes do you have about life that's causing a fucking issue? You know, and so you start looking at this shit and you're like, God damn, I am the problem. I am the cause of all my fucking issues, man. And so you realize it's like, yeah, man, just you may need a different philosophy, because sometimes the philosophies of life we pick up, they're not good. We don't know they're not good, but they're not good, and we need to say, you know what, this isn't healthy. You know, this isn't you know, getting me where I want to go. It's like, well, cool, then change the fucking tune. You know, and it's like almost like no one's ever told people, yo, you can change the record, brother. Right?
Yeah, you can realign yourself. You know down
Like,
down the
like,
path.
yo,
Yeah.
you're the one that put the record on, bro. You can
It's
take
like
it off. You can change it out.
everybody gets it to an obstacle eventually, and you can change it up. You can keep going the straight line, or go, oh, I didn't, I was wrong. Oh,
Hey,
let's turn left
there it
now.
is, bro. There it
You
is.
can always
There-
change
You
there
know,
it is.
it's one of the things is people have
I
trouble
was wrong,
admitting when they're wrong, and
brother.
one of the biggest flaws that you know that again psychology thing is the fact that people are very easy to say what they're good at. It's easy for everybody to say what they're good at, but it's hard as hell to say what you're not good at. To admit that you're not good at something.
1,000%. It's a
It's a
my
common trait. Yeah.
my theory on that is it's a matrix trick, right?
Mhm.
It's designed by the Matrix to keep you essentially locked in, because again, like you're saying, it's like not being able to admit you're wrong, or not being able to admit you messed up, or not being able, you're not good at something, keeps you then locked to the fear of they're going to find out and they're going to know.
And then the
Right.
fact that you're worthless and for something,
Right,
right?
exactly. You know what I
Like I,
mean? Correct.
yeah, like I don't have to be able to do everything.
Oh,
You know,
you know,
that's why some people specialize in some things, and that's why you appreciate somebody that's better than you at something.
sure. But and that's the thing, but if I want to do everything, then the first step is admitting that I don't know everything, that I'm
Exactly.
not good at everything, that I'm actually pretty good at very little.
but I know that I'm good at this.
You know, and it's like, but you know, and again in that, it's like, you know, this is, you know, cool. But fuck, man, fuck, do some shit. My thing is, they just fucking do some, fail at some shit.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
by the
and
way,
realize
Chris,
that it's nothing.
Gotta put yourself out there.
before you go any further, I want to give you a heads up. You're sharing your screen with the ad perk, so before you keep on going and you dox yourself and something,
Well,
I
yeah,
just want to give you a heads up.
yeah. I'm gonna stop sharing the screen before I go to the next part. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't just go without thinking about it.
And Red Syrup has something to say to Anthony here. He says, "Stay sober, bro. You will always have trying days, but overall, it does get easier in time. Know thyself."
That's it. To thy own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
Soul says, "Robo Sim, please put down your agenda. You have 20 seconds to comply."
That does not compute.
Chris isn't good at picking coffee flavors, but he has other qualities. Thanks, Soul. I'll take that as a compliment.
Take that as a compliment.
Hey.
Oh boy. But anyway, this remark is
So people do like we're about to do, man, Chris,
Yeah.
and go back that damn book.
the remark is a sketch inside the book. You said,
Correct.
okay, and these metal prints,
Mm-hmm.
are they just like, I see this is like reverse flash?
Yeah, but I know. Basically, I had to put them on there before I had before I have mine printed. So they'll all be. You'll get a copy of the charcoal Baron smoking a cigar.
Okay. Okay, so it's going to be like the standard cover.
Like the cover that we want.
Yeah.
It's the charcoal is the exclusive to Indiegogo, right?
Yes. Correct.
And we got a kick-ass shirt. More
I have a question. Have you guys ever put the Indiegogo logo on your books?
Nope.
Okay. Now you can't do that, correct?
You could, but it's not recommended, and it should not because it's another company.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you would have to ask their permission, but you can put it in the thank you credit or something, or fund it on Indiegogo. You could do that.
Gotcha. Well, what I'm thinking. Well, what I want to do is I want to, as well as the cover, but I'd also like to do that as well. Maybe I'll do a thank you page, and I'll only put that in the Indiegogo book.
That isn't.
T-shirt's tempting. I might have to
Metal
pick
prints
one
look
up later down the road. All right, I'm gonna stop now. Share them that. So
Yeah, because you're about to make a final purchase.
Just get whichever one you want, and just Sim will remind me, and I'll just make sure I put 2 of the charcoal. So you follow what I'm saying? If that's what you want, you know what I mean. If you want 2 charcoals and you don't see it up there, that's fine. Just get whatever double, and we'll make notations of it and make sure you get 2 charcoals.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
okay.
Yeah, later on today, that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to make an add-on to that.
There you go. Yeah, you better say thank you to him, Sim, because otherwise you'd be stuck with the other one.
Oh, really?
Fortunately, they're coming to his house, so he's gonna.
Yeah, they're coming to me.
Just tell you, man. Unfortunately, they both are the same color copies. Damn it! So
I
we both got them. No, I can't show you my copy right now, but
just
I sent you yours.
with the color. Unfortunate.
So, Chris, we're getting close to that. 1:45 almost.
Yeah, I guess we better start to wrap it up, I suppose. I'm noticing a trend here. I show up late to the show, but then the show goes late as well.
I show up late.
Yeah, Blake said.
Dude.
Yeah.
At least I'm professional, and I don't blame him for all the other times that he was late before, like on the art dibber, and I had to. Yeah.
No. What would you do?
Nah. Now you understand why I call him little brother.
Gotcha. It's funny, man. It's. I guess being from New Orleans, it's part of the lexicon here, you know. But it's
Mhm.
old New Orleans, anyways. And then I'm a big guy, you know. I'm like 6'4", so everybody's little brother.
Oh, brother.
Even in my Texas, I'm like, all right, little brother, thanks, little brother.
Yeah. I need to get my sleep or my schedule figured out here. Like on the days where I work the night before, so Fridays, I need to like either not take a nap or I need to be better at getting myself up and going
You need to get
earlier.
real coffee before the goddamn show, and maybe
Yeah.
you know the
So
Java does the magic, dude.
I can't keep being real late to the show like that.
Dude, the first time you drink actual coffee, right? You grab himself like a coffee boosted with a double espresso, call it black guy or something. And dude, he took a sip and he made it. He made the guy, you know, the face of a guy drinking whiskey for the first time. Until at the end of the end of the show, he felt nauseous. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when you're, you know, you take you go from cheap ass coffee with no caffeine to a triple espresso beaner. Or, I don't know how they call it. What was it again?
It had 2 shots
The,
in it and then black coffee or whatever.
yeah,
And
there
it
was a
called
name.
like Black Eye or Dead Eye, one of them. One of those two. It was either, I think it might have been called Black Eye. It had the most caffeine out of all their stuff.
The thing would probably be Red Eye.
Because when you get to the point that, you know, you haven't had that much caffeine and you go drink a whole bunch of freaking caffeine, it's like never touch an energy drink and then go drink a Monster. You're gonna feel
terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I used to drink this. Well, I used to drink this drink. It was called cocaine, and it was cocaine in a can. But that shit, bro, would get you wound up like heart palpitations and shit, bro. I was like tripping, bro.
Yeah, it's a drink. You drink it through your nose.
Is that what it is? I've done that. There's no. I even asked the dude. I was like, bro, I was like, how strong is it? He's like, pretty strong. I'm like, well, you know, I've done real cocaine, so nowhere near that. Oh, probably not. I'm like, okay, well, we'll test this fucking. Like Tim said, you have to have the lived experiences. You have to know this stuff, man. Fuck.
It's one of the first things you learn in life. Is like when I'm like, okay, I want to be a writer. My uncle came to me and goes, okay, but then you're gonna have to get out, go live some shit, experience some shit, go make some mistakes, go have fun. I'm like, huh, that's a good point. Because you can't write if you don't live.
You gotta. I agree. I mean, you have to. I don't. I shouldn't say you have to because I'm sure there's all kind. I'm sure there's all kind of exceptions to the rule. But I know there is no experience like having your rock solid worldviews smashed
Yes.
to pieces, and you realize
Having-
nothing. You know nothing.
To the point where you question almost everything about not everything about around you, but about yourself too.
Exactly. It smashes it, bro. And it's like, holy shit, bro.
It's what we call the wall. The you know, like the wall of life. Like you get pampered, you get protected when you're a kid, and then you hit the adult life, and you hit that wall where you're like, oh.
I always say
now funny. I understand the parents better.
It's called the abyss.
Yep.
Right. You go with Rick James down to the abyss, baby. And there it is, staring right back at you. You know.
You know, it's when that expression "I did the best I could" takes an entire different definition and makes sense.
Brother. There is for me in my life, there has been no experience like, and I use a baseball analogy, but there's nothing like walking up to the plate. Mm-hmm. And this whole time you've been watching that pitcher, and you've been watching his motions, and you've been watching his tells, and you know when he's going to throw the fastball. You know when he's going to throw the curve. We got it. He got him clocked, bro. And you walk up to the plate, bro, and you're sitting there, and you're already thinking about how you stealing first to second, how you going to get all the way to home plate, bro.
And
you get up there, and you fucking no. The motherfucker starts throwing pitches, and you fucking end up hitting the air, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And you fucking strike out, and you go, what the fuck? I just gave the best I had just now, and I came up with nothing. Fucking nothing, bro. And it puts you into a place of self, like you say, you look into yourself and you look down into your own personal abyss, and it's like, bro, you're gonna need some more than what you got. Now, where you get that from, where you go from there, bro, that is each individual's tale. But that thing of going and grabbing something and giving it your best and failing miserably is a fucking experience that I would wish upon everyone.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know it
dude,
sounds terrible,
it
but
teaches you
brother,
that it teaches you that no, nobody's good right off the bat. That anything that you can be good at needs training.
it's called humility. It
Yep,
teaches you humility, and with humility comes gratitude.
and
And you
respect.
start to be exactly because you start to understand the frailty of things, and you understand the blessings of things and the joy
And
of things, and
and
you
you
just
appreciate the
understand
experience from the elders and what came before you more, so you
thousand
can understand. Yeah.
1000%. It isn't until you fucking hit, like you said, it isn't until you hit that fucking wall, man,
Mm-hmm.
and you fucking hit that abyss, that when you look backwards, you start to see the things which have value to them. Because all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, now I understand, like you said, the parents. I understand what them old timers were talking about because now I understand the value of it.
Yep.
Right? Because I understand this place of desolation, of complete fucking, nothingness. And in
You
that
know that you
you
have no control,
realize,
despair, or those things that
you
you
see
never
the
knew
pillars,
before.
see the things which are set in place and why they're there, because they were built by men who went to the abyss. What they came back with, they built these things.
Mm-hmm.
They said,
It's
here,
like
when all these structures and all this bullshit and all this this shit fails, this is what's left.
it's like another thing when people are talking about being fearless, right? One of the first thing you learn is when you're a kid, you think being fearless it's not knowing fear. This is not what fearless means. That's being stupid. That's not being aware of danger.
There you go.
Being fearless means being scared shitless and still standing your goddamn ground and keep going. And you're gonna face the absurdity even though you're scared. This is knowing fear. This is being ready to face it. This is when you're fearless because you're smart. You know you're you're right to be scared. You should be wary, but that should not stop you from doing what you know is right.
You talking about character building.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're talking about. I mean, I think that's like my old man who was a street guy, right? I mean, he was a fucking, you know, the type of guy you would easily see in, you know, a movie, one of these movies that Scorsese would write and shit. It's like in his, him and I talked a lot. He was a very generous man with his family, very generous, and he was all him and I always had great conversations. We still do. But he told me as he got older, man, it was like, and he was like, man, this dude, he was a fucking alpha and shit. He would tell me, he's like, that fucking not being afraid. He's like, that's fucking bullshit, man.
Yep.
He's like, everybody's fucking afraid. He's like, what you do with that fear, that's what it will determine your
Yep.
character.
It's
He's
what
like,
you
but
turn it
everybody,
into. Yeah.
bro, don't let nobody fool you into believing that, because that's bullshit.
That's what really fearless means, dude. It's not knowing, it's knowing, but not letting it stop you. Like you're not paralyzed, you're not stopping, you're becoming cold and calculated. It's time to get shit on. It's time to get serious here.
It's courage, man. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it takes courage, and like you saying, courage isn't the absence of, it's the presence of, but you go anyways.
No, it's like, a good example would be this, right? I did martial art. I did this. I did some training for weightlifting, and you get to a point where you're like, you're a bit cocky. You know. I got this shit. Right? I can hold my own. You got some fights. You got this. You got that. Until that day, you meet that guy that's 6'4",
That's it.
built like a fucking horse, and I'm 5'9", and I'm like, oh fuck. And for a few seconds, you're scared, but you know inside you that oh dude, I got this. I'll do my best. I got this. I might get beat up, but I'm not gonna let him stop me right now.
That's
And
it.
dude, I brought him down to size in less than 5 seconds. And it's not that I wasn't afraid.
No, absolutely. Give the very best. I learned that playing football, man. It's like, our coach used to tell us. He said, he said, whatever happens, win, lose, or draw, you leave it on the field, man.
Yeah,
Whatever you get on the field, and I have, like, I've played one of my best games that I ever played in was one of the last official high school football games I played my senior year, and I had one of my best games. My dad was there. I made some really good plays and shit. We lost. We lost. You know, and it was like that's the last game I ever played in high school. But when I walked off that field, I was sad we lost, and I was sad. You know, I wasn't going to play ball anymore. But to this day, it's like, yeah, but I walked off. I walked off with my head held high because I played. I did the very best I could do in that situation.
You gave it all you had. Yeah.
So even though we lost, it's you know what I mean. Like in my heart, it's like, yo, man, as an individual, I did my part. I did what I could.
Soul says the boring roast is the most delayed show I like. Always worth the wait, yet still pissing me off while waiting. Just kidding. It's fine.
Yeah. And I like the way my worldview got destroyed when I got the first French customer at my job, and they refused to talk English and always answered in French. Bastard. Not to believe in your soul. Here's a little French for you.
Canadians.
Sim is enjoying himself so much that he doesn't insist on closing the show due to running time. Get a chat room, you two.
There you go, Canadian. Give me kicks on that. I can hold my own.
That's awesome.
Oh, Lord.
You know, it's what I wanted to say. It's like when you know this, it's when you move from being I think the brawn thing. You know, like they say like with age you learn that it's technique over brawn. You need to when you know fear, you don't get paralyzed, so you get smart. You start thinking. Like when I saw that big guy there, I'm like, I can't take him. Like, there's how am I gonna take that guy? So you think, you assess, you learn to assess moments and opportunity, and this very quickly. You look for openings. How you need to end this now. It's like somebody's like close quarter. You don't want to get close to that guy, or that guy that's really strong with their roundhouse kick or their high kicks. You want to get close to them, right? So when you have a 6'4" mountain in front of you, right, dude. My idea was like, how am I gonna fucking take that guy? And that guy's like, what you gonna do, right? And I'm like, huh. In my head was, I need to bring him down. So I started thinking about nerve endings, pain. So down punch to the side of his knee, dude, right on the nerve. You saw it hits all four limbs. So you see the arms fall and him fall to his knees and his face going, what the fuck? I feel like a fucking puppet. Poof. That's what I'm saying. This is how you go. This is the point of martial arts. You learn fear so it doesn't stop you from thinking clearly and using your head, not just your fucking brawn.
So I've come to the realization, Sim, that you are like the comic skate Wolverine.
Oh, the what? The what?
Yeah, you're like comic skate Wolverine. You're from Canada. You're short.
Dude, that's how they used to call. Yeah, that's how they used to call me when I was in security. And that was my nickname because they're all like 6 foot something, 6, and I was the 5'8", 5'9" guy. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not afraid. Hey.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've always been. You always worry about that stuff because there's a.
Okay, be like water, my friend.
Exactly.
Learn to adapt. Dude, I'm a big Bruce Lee guy. Like one of the first things that got me all when I got to a point of not knowing a path or something like that, when I got really like into a violent side, because you get bullied until you fight back, and then you start fighting a bit too harshly back, right? I learned the Jet Kundo. I learned and read the Jet Kundo, and it's the way of thinking that he had that was great. This philosophy.
For sure.
Always learn, always adapt. You're never perfect. You always have something new to learn. You always have something to improve about yourself.
That's
always
right. At the core. And that's where I dig with Bruce. But I think what makes that so powerful is at the core of it. That is the heart of what spirituality is. Spirituality is essentially anti rigidness. Right, because spirituality is the whole point is how do I live in a way that nurtures the best part of me, right? And so most of that is do not get locked into rigidness, dogma. Again, anything that keeps me soldered to any moment, because if I'm soldered to some moment in time, then I'm not able to enjoy the present one that I'm in.
Yep.
And so it's this whole fluidity. I get it from that standpoint. Yeah, like I said, I take it from a physical standpoint, which is still it's a principle. It can transcend all these things. But from a spiritual trend, it's the same difference. You're trying to stay fluid. You're not trying to be rigid in any moment, because if you're rigid in any moment, you're stuck in that moment while everything else is moving forward.
When changes happen, if you resist too much, look, it's the same principle as a freaking skyscraper. Okay, you know that those buildings are made and built and calculated that it follows the goddamn wind. They cannot be 100% fucking resistant to those wind, otherwise it would break and everything would fall. It needs to follow the rhythm of the wind. So that's why the buildings have to move. They have to be flexible. You need to be flexible. That's what it means being like water, meaning a rock is gonna come in. Well, it's not your end. There's a rock around you, and you surround the rock now. It's part of you. It's there. There's a new mountain there. Here's a new island. And the thing is, when the rocks start trying to stop the water at the ocean, what happens?
Erosion.
Erosion. You don't mess with water. That's the entire thing. It's actually your mind. It's not just the body. It's you need to adapt with changes. If you resist all the time, you will always be stressed, panic, and no fear.
You will be eroded. Seminar. We're going to do a book together.
we have to do something.
It's going to be called The Eroded. And it's going to be about these two guys who basically were eroded by life, but then resurrected and came back from the abyss to tell these tales and these stories.
So 2-hour clock. So before we go another tangent.
Yeah, before
and Soul gives a shit again.
Before we go on another half-hour deep philosophical discussion here. We need to start trying to wrap it up.
That's amazing. It's amazing to me. You got two knuckleheads on here. One guy, you know what I mean? Just two knuckleheads, ex-drug addict, Sims and knucklehead. It's just, and we're like, this is waxing and waning of the universe and the spirituality. But like he said, it's like, this is what happens when you go to the abyss. It changes you.
Training to go from sin.
I didn't see it.
That's funny.
Hold on. Let me go see the link. So I can laugh with you guys. Hold on. My training when I was younger was I was training to be doing the Montreal Olympics in weightlifting and judo. That's where I started, and
there you go. You come a long way, man. Long way.
I was 13 when I did all this.
Gotcha.
Let's ask did I fix my camera? Actually, the thing was I had two cameras, and for some reason I was using the camera I've had for like 10 or 15 years. And the one I had bought that was like all new and stuff, I had never used and was still setting. So I was like, that might be why I'm having so many problems.
So I was right. That's why you never told me.
So I plugged in the new one, and
he's ignoring me. He's not acknowledging it. I was right.
I'm trying to explain to Red Syrup the situation here, Sam. Give me a minute.
So Red Syrup, I was right last time. Red Syrup was there on the show. He knows.
Sam, go be like water.
Yeah, but you need to end the stream first. Oh.
All right. We're gonna start wrapping it up.
So sub, like, retweet.
All right, Sam. You're up first.
Oh well, go sub to Tales from the Adverse because that's the only place you can grab Bloodhound after this. Because you're definitely gonna regret it when everybody's gonna tell you how they like it. Because I hope they do. Because I'm not, And yep. When we reach at 500K to my channel, so go sub now, Simon Sympathy. 500K, 3 sketch card, 1 book giveaway. And when we reach 1,000K, the 1,000K, the 1K, 1,000 subs, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway of the sketch cover special anniversary edition of Heavy Metal Magazine 300. So go sub, retweet. Let's get that pumping.
All right, Mr. Anthony, your closing statements.
My closing statements. Okay. Don't do drugs, kids. It's terrible. Stay away from cocaine and
Cocaine.
New Orleans and Gree and so you don't have to go and purchase these things and do these things to ruin your life. What you can do is you can buy a copy of God's Hand, and what it will allow you to do is to experience these things without actually having to go to jail and ruin your life. So go over to Indiegogo right now. Okay? Open up your wallets. Take out $1. Keep that $1. The rest of the money send to the campaign. That's the best thing to do. And go to In Demand now and get your copy and get your signature copy of God's Hand Today. And you can go and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. It's under either Anthony Figaro or Kid Destructo. And you can go see me at kiddestructo.com. And we can chat, we can talk, and we can go to the abyss together. Thank you.
All right. Great pitch. And of course,
I just made it up just now.
See what I said, dude?
I was inspired, man. Sim inspired.
Dude, we said it the first time. Like, I think we were made to be friends. We get along like the first day. Like, what's this? I don't know. Hi, how's it going?
Knuckleheads get along.
It's passionate people, and we, what do I want me to say? And leave like that. Cut that stream. We're done.
Hey.
It was a good morning.
And
now good afternoon.
I know. We're drunk into the afternoon.
So,
let's end the stream before we end up in the afternoon crash.
don't say it, Sim. I'm trying to close it.
Stop trying. Dude, there is no try.
Well, then shut up. So, as all,
You can do it. I believe in you.
well, I'm going to mute you in a minute. So, do subscribe and like, of course, as always, to the channel. Would always be good. And do also back God's Hand. I'm glad that I finally got around to doing it myself. And I'm glad that I got to have you on, Mr. Anthony. I've been wanting.
Thank you for having me on, brother.
I've been kind of, once I started this show and I'd seen that stream, I was like, I gotta get him on sometime. And I need to get you on more often because you make my job a lot easier. I can bring you in and then you get Sim started and I can just sit here.
Anytime, brother.
Anthony,
Anytime.
I think we need to start doing a show, just me and you.
Anytime, brother.
But anyway, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on, Anthony. In all seriousness, it was a great show.
Dude, I should call it the Knuckleheads.
That's it, brother.
Okay, I'm done, Chris.
And thanks to everybody in the chat for coming out. And I'm going to end this now before Sim keeps going, and we'll be here all day.
So later.
Bye, everybody.